All right, switching over to the tripod here, a little more stable than the Meta glasses. This one here, full-on example of avoidance. Now, as you're getting on the freeway, you should be looking over to the left as much as possible, seeing what's going on over here. This driver's clearly aware of it. Let's get into it. Now, he sees this drama unfolding in front of him, so he just slows down. Slows down, slows down, slows down. Nice. Defensive. Plenty of room. Here's the thing though, right? This is a freeway in Florida. So you got to look around, and as soon as you can, as soon as possible, folks, safely get around them as soon as possible. The odds of a distracted driver plowing into the back of you while you've stopped for an accident on the freeway, it's just too great of a risk. Don't risk your lives. Don't risk your family's lives. If you want to stop and help them, if you want to drop off footage, if it's possible for you to stop. This guy said he couldn't, but if you can, go ahead and get around to the other side of them. Stop over here, right? That's where you want to stop. But good job to this guy. It's a good clip for defensive driving. Just remember, you want to avoid any accidents. You want to avoid any impacts. It's really hard to not engage with road rage because people are antagonizing and sometimes they'll stay with you. I'm going to tell you, like, I call it a perpendicular movement, a hard brake. When you're getting someone road raging like crazy, slow all the way down to 15, pull all the way to the side, right? Get off the freeway, make a bunch of right turns. Just make it uncomfortable and annoying for them to continue to follow you. And if they follow you off the freeway and they follow you more than 2 turns, just type in police station or sheriff's station to your Google Maps or your Apple Maps and head on over there. They will happily just roll in with the horn blasting. They will come out and assist you. But yeah, be defensive here. Just please, please, please don't stop behind traffic like this. He's going to slow down, and then, you know, it's like he's starting to move over as quick as he can. So good on him. Here we have what I would call an unconventional accident. Now, the driver that gets struck by the turning driver, this vehicle right here is about to make a turn from the middle lane off the left. Now, it's a one-way street, so on a one-way street, you have to remember that the only travel lane is a middle lane, right? This is a travel lane in this road. But on a one-way street, that is a turn, enter, exit. That is a turn, technically enter, exit, because if there's one-ways coming from here, people could be turning left onto here, right? Or people could be coming across and turning. But the key here is just remembering that even though it's wrong, this guy turns from this lane and this guy hits him, right? It's completely avoidable because this is a turn lane. And so you should be prepared for people turning in or maybe near this lane and further if you are in Florida, right? Tourists. There's a lot of tourists here. They're not really paying attention. They're on vacation. They're not watching their GPS. GPS is not giving them the best directions. So you got to be more aware than the drivers around you to avoid the accident. You got to have a really high driver IQ. It's challenging. It's like being a race car driver. It really is. There's a lot to have to watch and a lot to have to keep track of. And you certainly can't do it while you're distracted, which I don't know if that's a factor in this driver here hitting them, but I feel like he had plenty of time, he or she, they had plenty of time to see this driver about to come over. So we got him here. No turn signal. Oh, I see a turn signal there. So again, it didn't make it right that he turned. Didn't make it right that they turned. Very nice of this person to stop and give footage. If it's possible for you to stop and give footage, there's a lot of people that don't have dash cams. I have started handing them out as presents to people. If a friend posts that they bought a new car, anyone I see gets a new car, I try to give it out as a present. Give them out as wedding presents as well. I can't campaign for this strongly enough. I've had several accidents since I've been in Florida. None of them have been my fault. But if you're alone and there's 5 people in that car and they all, swear that you were at fault, you better hope you have a camera or someone is willing to stop and share footage. But I think, maybe you'll disagree with me. You can tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think this driver over here had all the time in the world to see this coming. And even though it was not their fault that someone should be turning into their lane, you could have been expecting this. Common sense would have dictated that people could be turning from that lane, or at least turning into that lane to turn. This one is interesting because he doesn't really do anything wrong. In fact, he seems to not be speeding 40 miles an hour, going down a road that looks like it's probably a 40, could be a 35. I'm going to guess 35 or 40. But even if it was a 35, not really speeding. The issue here seems to be just that you should be in this left lane. And the reason for that is simple, right? You want to put yourself in a position where if you see somebody coming at you, either from the side, from across here, even oncoming traffic, the closer you are to the middle of the road, the more room you have to swerve in either direction. Now, you can't cross a double yellow line except obviously turning left, going across it. But in an emergency, folks, you can use anything you need to. Hit the curb to avoid hitting the car. As long as there's no pedestrians there, make sure you have a clear line of sight to where you're going to be sending your vehicle. But if you're in this left lane and somebody pulls out into this lane, you can slow down. Hopefully they'll see you, but you can maybe avoid it. You could go over here to get around them. If someone comes at you, crosses that center line, if you know there's no one on that lane, you could go around them left or right. So from a safety standpoint, you want to set yourself up where you've got the most options available to you, and that's going to be this left lane. And I would argue that this guy in this left lane would have avoided this accident instead of nearly avoiding it, which he does do, and I give him credit for, but apparently he nicks it at the end, as you'll see. So traveling along here, you're going to see a BMW come right there and pulls out right in front of him, and he just nicks that corner, which is very unfortunate because he had a chance, almost missed it. I don't think that would be too severe of damage. Hopefully, just some body work there. Again, good on the guy for managing to avoid it. Not speeding was helpful, but boy, lane selection is such a huge thing. And I wanted to make a quick note here. He insinuates that the person might have left. It seems like the BMW might have taken off, although it doesn't say for sure whether or not it does. But this is really another reason why I'm such a strong proponent for dash cams. I've been in several accidents in Florida, and the dash cam was critical for all of them. And you definitely want a front and rear facing camera to pick up license plates if they turn and run. A lot of hit and runs, unfortunately, in this state. A lot of uninsured people. So if you don't have a dash cam, go out and get one. It's as critical as the insurance you put on your car. And if you love your loved ones and you love your kids, for goodness sakes, if you're going to let them drive a car in Florida, put a dash cam in there. Get a car that has a dash cam built in. So with this one, it's really brief and there is no accident, but there's something that I want to cover here, and I've talked about it in other clips, specifically when it comes to stopping on a road where there is not a stoplight or a stop sign. Stopping for an obstruction, stopping for animals crossing the road. I love animals. I want to protect them as much as possible, but understanding the world we live in right now, the majority of accidents are rear end collisions caused by the rear driver not paying attention. So as you come up here to this person, you're already traveling in the wrong lane unless you need to be making a right turn coming up soon, especially where you've got a turn lane over here. My man, you should be in this lane right here because you got options for movement in case something goes wrong. Now, it's possible that if you were in this lane, this driver might have tried to turn in front of you, but I would argue they won't, as they set up for this U-turn, which you can see coming a little bit like from here. Coming up here, coming up here, coming up here. All right. Now it's too late to address the situation, because I'm sure there's people coming right here, as you're going to see in a moment. They can't make their U-turn, which they should have gone right and turned around in that parking lot, made a left, come out. Obviously, they're doing something illegal. We hope a cop would roll along and find them. But you don't see a ton of karma cops in Florida. There's just a massive population and a shortage of law enforcement. So you get people that do this, that get comfortable doing this kind of maneuver. But this really scares me, because you see so many videos of people that stop just like this, trying to be polite. They don't know what's happening. They don't want to try to go around. But while you're waiting here for this person to make this turn, you are a target. And whether it's daytime or nighttime, the person behind you may or may not be paying attention. And if this person comes screaming along and slams into the back of you, and you don't manage to hit this car, I can guarantee you 1000% of the time, this car is driving off. And then what? Right? The person behind you may be at fault, but you've got two wrecked vehicles, and the person truly at fault gets away with this bullshit behavior because you didn't plan ahead. You have to be in the correct lane, right? If you were in this lane, then you would have been over there behind the cop who did not pull him over. So prove my point.
What are you doing? You can't make a U-turn there.
I agree. They can't make a U-turn there. And while I think it's important to be polite, and while it's nice to be kind and courteous, it doesn't actually help anybody, because driving is a math problem. You need to get out of the way and keep yourself and your family safe. So don't stop unless you absolutely have to. I mean, I would have almost pulled behind them and then just gone to the parking lot, turned and went around, just because I would never want to stop and leave myself exposed to a possible rear-end collision. Somebody scrolling through TikTok or watching their favorite YouTube content creator and hits into the back of you. For our last clip of this episode, we have another one where lane preference would have saved you a lot of grief. It doesn't appear to be an accident here. I don't think he strikes the vehicle that pulls in front of him, but this is a 3-lane road, which means this is a turn lane, right? And this is, well, that's not a turn lane because there are turn lanes there. So technically 4-lane at the turns. This lane right here in the middle is your lane. That's the lane you want. That's the preferential lane. The race car driver is in the middle lane. The common sense maxer is in the middle lane. This is where you want to be. Even if it takes you 2 minutes longer to get where you need to go, from here you can pass on either side. You can swerve to either side. You can see what's coming. You got a good vantage point, right? As long as you're looking at what's behind you and keeping an eye, you've got good options to swerve, right? It just makes more sense than here. Here you've got the middle, which could have someone come and speed up behind you, or you've got the curb, which could probably hurt your car. Now what happens here is kind of annoying too, because in his vehicle, I think he slams on the brakes. But in my personal vehicle and many newer vehicles, if someone got in front of me as close as this car gets in front of this vehicle, my car would emergency auto brake. And that is just wildly uncomfortable. So see, he doesn't need this right lane. Doesn't make a right turn here. And if you didn't need that lane, you should have been in this one. Ooh, that cannot feel good. Now, in a second, he's not going to turn there either, because this person did not need the far right lane. And you shouldn't be in that lane. You should not be over here unless you need to turn. It's like if there's really heavy traffic, I understand you can move over here. But in stop and go traffic, you're not really worried about people cutting in front of you in a U-turn or someone pulling out in front of you, you know, like we've seen in other clips. As much as possible, folks, lane preference makes a big difference. Put yourself have a dash cam and put yourself somewhere where you have swerve options, where you have good visibility. Stay safe out there.